Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the Why I Need podcast. We appreciate you stopping by and watching our videos. If you're a first-time viewer, kindly subscribe before you go. Watch all of our previous episodes as well. If you're a repeat viewer, we appreciate you. Make sure you like, share, and engage us in the comment section. So we're talking about the news on the Punch NG website that was released about 4 days ago. And it's the new Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act. And this law is basically saying landlords and occupiers of public buildings across Nigeria will be fined 1 million naira or jailed for 12 months or both if they fail to insure their properties against hazards such as fire, flood, earthquake, storm, and everything like that. So there's also a section 76 of the law, and it defines a public building as any building, including a tenant house of more than one floor, hostel building occupied by a tenant, um, and so on and so forth. So the goal is to be able to to protect lives and properties in case a fire comes up. And the first thing that comes to my mind is this really because the government or the National Insurance Commission um, care about the lives and properties of Nigerians? Is that truly what's driving this law at this time? Or is it because they're looking to make more money because somebody, uh, you know, in the legislature or somebody in government as if had an handshake agreement to be able to push this through. If they truly care about the lives and properties of Nigeria, I believe they'll focus on security. They'll focus on getting bad vehicles off the road. We heard about Dangote trucks that are killing people left and right. We've heard about trucks that are not roadworthy being on the road, being passed by the road safety. And it's unfortunate now they're just trying to pinch Nigerians the more. Nigerians are already struggling. If you're renting, it's because you can afford to build or because it's cheaper for you to rent than to build or to own your own home. And now because the landlord is required to insure his property, it's allowed to increase your rent to cover the insurance cost. At the end of the day, you're making the life of the people worse. And again, I don't think they have their priorities straight. If they truly care about Nigeria, they'll focus on the low hanging fruits. And the low hanging fruit to me will be making sure that the roads are good, making sure that they take away trucks, they take away vehicles that are not roadworthy, that is causing crashes, making people lose their lives and lose body parts. Those are the first things they need to focus on. Make sure you have insurance on your vehicles first. Make sure that the insurance companies have the money in the reserve to be able to take care of people that have paid their premiums and they need the money. Because we know even in developed countries, it's difficult for insurance to pay. They know how to collect, but they don't like to pay. They'll find all the loopholes to get out of paying their bills, paying their debt. But if you don't pay your bills, they just cut your insurance off. So I believe maybe somebody in the government is, making a handshake agreement to get this thing done because they want to make some money off of it. And I don't think it's because they really care about the people. What's your thought on this?
Oh yeah. For me, I think this is to protect the landlord and the tenants. But we could also make the argument that probably the government wants us to raise money. But for me, I see it as protecting the landlord and the tenants. I do know that in this country, it's very difficult for insurance people to pay. So a lot of times you need to follow them up with attorneys for them to be able to pay up. Sometimes they lowball you. Sometimes they just look for a way to wiggle out of the situation. The NICOM demanding that landlords get insurance, I think is actually for their own good. They are, for me, I see that they are helping them to protect their investment. If you are a landlord and you do not have insurance against uncertainty, if something happened to your investment or your whatever, you will bear the brunt, you will bear the liability. But imagine that you can actually pass that liability to somebody else or another entity. I think that would be a relief. And for tenants, if you are living in somebody's house and the roof collapse over your head, you should be able to see somebody to hold responsible. That is how I see it. But if there is no, insurance, the building is not insured, they may not be able to anybody to hold accountable. Your landlord may refuse whatever claim you're making. So that is how I see it. And I also think that with the introduction of this insurance, I think it's something that will follow will probably be like building code. People will not be able to erect buildings just anyhow. People will not be able to wake up again and just call a bricklayer and tell a bricklayer, "Oh, measure this place. Let's put these 2 rooms here." People may not be able to do it again because if you want to insure your building, I think the insurance company would like to know how the building was built, the materials ratio, and all of that stuff. They'll probably want to know. And by the time the insurance kicks off, I think they will be putting out requirements that your building has to meet for them to be able to insure it. So I think overall, this thing will take care of the substandard buildings in Nigeria. We'll be hearing about building collapse in Lagos. It's been happening in Lagos, Abuja, and almost all part of the country, Nigeria. So I think this insurance will really take care of some of those building collapses, because the insurance company will be putting out requirements, what they need inside the building or the material ratios for your building to qualify for insurance. And, if they do it, I think it will take care of the building collapses.
That makes sense. I do agree with you that insuring a property benefits both the landlords and also the tenant alike. But in my opinion, I think now is not the right time. The economy is not working. People are struggling to eat. And then if the landlord were to increase their rent with the income not changing, what's going to happen? You're basically just going to throw them out. And because they're not going to be able to afford paying all those exorbitant rents, so maybe they'll move back to their villages or continue to live in substandard housing. But I do agree that it benefits both landlords and tenants alike. It protects their interest. At the same time, this is why I think their priorities is not right at all. You would think the building codes will come first before they pass the law and before they make everything right, before they start holding landlords accountable. You would think that they want to make sure if your property is not up to code, make sure you fix your property, because in the next year, in the next 2 years, we're going to pass a law that will hold you accountable, that will have you pay some penalty if you don't have the right insurance, or if your properties are not insured. So you would think that the codes will come first before they start holding people accountable. But I think the people that are making these laws are just stone deaf. They don't really know what's going on in the country. Again, have you fixed all the bad roads? Are you telling me there are more houses collapsing than car accident daily in Nigeria? Are you telling me that there are more houses collapsing than the accident that the bad roads or lack of access to healthcare is causing? I don't agree with that. I mean, people who have lived in substandard housing forever, if you give them 2 or 3 years to fix their housing situation, improve the economy, make sure the average man has money to feed, but to get a job. Yeah, when you do those things first, common sense thing will be that the landlord will be able to afford to insure the property. The tenant will have some money to pay rent. But you're just making this because you're trying to compare yourself to other developed countries that have had a working system for donkey years. It's definitely not a good idea. The people are the leaders are tone deaf, and they're not really thinking about the impact on the common man. I know it's good. Insurance is good. It's good for you to have insurance on all your properties. However, if you haven't had insurance in the last 10 years, what has happened? What will happen if you don't have it? You think you need to give the landlords time to fix the properties, to bring it up to code, to make sure they fix everything needing to be fixed before you start holding them accountable. Again, get the low hanging fruit first. Take care of the bad roads. Make sure the lives of the people are secured. Make sure you get bad vehicles off of the road. Bad vehicles and bad roads are, disasters. So if you're able to fix those things, then you can talk about insuring vehicles. You can talk about insuring properties just to protect lives. But now I just think it's another money grab scheme. that the government has put out to make the lives of the people a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that it could be a money grab because, the people have lost hope in the government. They have lost confidence in the government. They do not believe anything they say again because time and time again, they have, been lying to the people. So regardless of what they do now, however they package it, the people will always be skeptical about their intentions. Having said that, I also believe that there is never a better time, or will always not be a good time, to implement policies like this. Yeah, we know that there are a lot of low-hanging fruits, as you put it, like road construction, security, and stuff like that. With the issue of road construction, I think it's always going to be a continuous thing. There is no way that Nigeria will be able to fix all the roads in Nigeria. It's just like in the US, especially in our state here. If you go on the east side of this place, is basically like a death trap. In fact, it's difficult for me to drive from our church down to that downtown that side. I find it very difficult to drive from that side down that way. The other day I was talking about Richmond, Indiana. Basically, if you're driving somebody that is 4 months pregnant, the person will almost give birth on that road. What I'm trying to say is road construction and fixing and all of that stuff will always be a continuous issue. But with this issue of insurance scheme, I think I definitely support it. It's for is in the interest of the landlord to make sure that they protect their assets, their valuable assets. For a lot of Nigerian landlords, their houses that they're renting out is their retirement plan. So what if something happened to your retirement plan just 2 years into your retirement? It's going to be a long road for you. So I think there is nothing too much, any policy or anything too much that they can do to protect their retirement. Whether it means buying insurance policy and ensuring that they protect it. And like I said before, we know sometimes you really have to fight very hard to get these insurance companies to step in and pick up their tabs. And I can imagine what it will look like in Nigeria. They will probably be denying people claims left, right, and center. But I think it's a step in the right direction. It's actually a very good policy for me. I think there is nothing too much that anybody can do for their retirement plan. Like I said, for a lot of people in Nigeria, they are building their houses is their retirement plan. So if something happened to your retirement plan just 1 year or 3 years into your retirement, it's gonna suck for you.
Yeah, it's good. I do agree. Again, I agree that the insurance is a good thing. I have it on my own house. If I don't have it, I probably won't get a loan for my house. So yeah, it's okay that they need to make sure that people have it. But the timing is what I'm concerned about. The timing is bad, and there's nothing you can tell people that are struggling for them to be able to get a buy-in. There's nothing you can tell them that, hey, because of insurance, we're going to have to jack up your rent 20%, 25%. How are they going to afford it? They're already struggling. Another increase in their rent and cost of transportation. You're basically just going to kill them, right? You're basically killing them. You're basically rendering them homeless. I believe the timing is not right. Once the economy is back on track, yeah, then you can talk about all these things. Get a low angry food first, and then you'll be able to get buy-in that, hey, the people will see that you truly mean business. You want to improve the environment. And I don't want you to compare Indiana roads to Nigeria. Indiana roads suffer a lot because of the cold weather, because of snow and everything. Those combinations are bad for asphalt. And in Nigeria, we only get rain and sun. But these roads here, they get sun, snow, cold, and it's going to tear up. And also, when you're trying to plow the snow, the equipment is tearing up the asphalt, tearing up the concrete as well. So, yeah, it's going to cost them more money to maintain those roads. And Nigeria, once we do the road once, maybe the next 20, 25 years, we don't even go back to it. But these people, they at least revisit it maybe every 2 or 3 years and do a little bit of patching to get through the cold weather and try to make it look decent. But I do agree that construction will be an ongoing effort, and our government should definitely prioritize it and focus on low hanging fruit again, improve the lives of the people, make the economy better, let people be able to afford to eat again. A lot of people do 001, right? A lot of people do 010. And I remember when I was in college in Nigeria, we probably did maybe 001. I can't imagine what college students are eating right now because food is expensive and everything is just harder. So I can't really imagine how they're surviving. And with this horrible policy, it's just going to affect the life of the people negatively. Imagine a parent maybe on a minimum wage or a government worker, 20 year, 25 years. Imagine a police officer, right? And he's paying rent or living in the barracks or he's paying rent for his children in school. How are they going to survive on their salaries? I think our government needs to, focus on improving the economy, focus on, making sure there's enough money, enough foods for people to really survive. People are really struggling out there, and it's just sad that this is another horrible policy, an untimely policy. It's a good policy if the economy is working, but with the economy in shambles, I think now is not the right time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that it will put a stress, it will put a strain on the pockets of Nigerians. But I promise you that if they make it a policy as part of the requirement, people really do not have a choice. You just have to abide by it. And speaking of the economy, I think what we are seeing today will probably be the best that the economy will ever be. In 5 years' time, we'll be referencing today and be saying 5 years ago the economy was a lot better. You and I know that, whenever things go up in Nigeria, it takes the grace of God, for that thing to come down. I still remember when they used to sell rice 2005 a bag. When my sister used to buy a whole bag of beans, big bag of beans for 3,005. I still remember when they used to sell a crate of egg for 230 naira, 250 naira, and then it went up to 300. I still remember when they used to sell tomato 10 naira, 20 naira. Well, those are in the past. So what we are seeing today will probably be the best the economy will ever be. In 5 years, 6 years from now, we'll be referencing today. When a bag of rice moved from, I think it was 5,000 to 10,000 during Jonathan, people were shouting. When it moved from that to 30,000 during Buhari, people were shouting. Today, in fact, it got almost close to 100,000. And that's what I'm saying. This is the best you will ever see this economy. So what I'm trying to say is there will never be a better time to implement the policy. The time will always be right. I do agree with you that the government need to improve the life of the people, but there will never be a time again where dollar will be less than 1,005 in Nigeria. It will never happen. So whatever we are seeing today is the best we will ever see. So I do believe in this policy. I think is the step in the right direction. The tenants and the landlord should be happy. As a tenant, you're living in somebody's house, something happens to you in the person's house, you should be able to hold somebody responsible. As a landlord, if something happened to your property, you should have something to fall back on. I think is the intention of the policy. We can also make the case that the government is trying to use it to raise money. That is valid too. Two truths can coexist. So I'm not disputing that fact. I'm also not ignorant to the fact that this policy will help landlords and tenants. So in conclusion, if you have the means, to pay, I think it's good for you to insure your house, insure your properties, and shed them from uncertainties, from unknown, so that you can have something to fall back on. And let us know what you think in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think the government rolling out insurance, requiring insurance for your buildings, you think is a good thing? You think they just want to use it to siphon money from the people? Let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the comment section. Bye bye.